If you're looking for a podcast that packs in sound property advice, as well as offering you an insight into making the world of property effective and ultimately work for you, you're in the right place. Hosted by Arsh, the original property rebel. He's written an Amazon bestseller, created the Property Investor app, the UK's first, and is an experienced property mentor. More importantly, he talks the talk and walks the walk.
Hi and welcome to another episode of The Property Rebel with your host Arsh. And today's session is very topical and is breaking news about the recent SDL changes and the stamp duty land tax changes announced by Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rishi, Sunak. So before we start, I want to say a quick hello and thank you to all recent subscribers and new listeners. Welcome to the channel, welcome to the podcast. Hopefully you're enjoying it. My name's Arsh and I'm hoping that you're finding real value by these podcasts that we're releasing. Remember guys, this is a one-take session, so if you hear some ifs, ums and ahs and maybe even some breaks, it's all natural. We don't do the polished. I'd rather tell you as it is. So let's get straight into it. So Wednesday, the 8th of July 2020, what a phenomenal day it was for the property market in general. And the reason why I say that is because Rishi Sunak, who has now become almost like a knight in shining armour, he's came out and he says, tell you what guys, we need to get the property market up and running. And as an attempt to rescue the housing market, I'm now going to reduce or even remove stamp duty for all properties up to £500,000 or, depending on what you want to call it, £500,000. Now, stamp duty from zero up to £500,000 is now 0% stamp duty. And this is for home buyers. And we've got to get this clear. Lots of people are getting this wrong. This is not for property investors. And I will go into this and how it benefits us as property investors. But predominantly, this move has been brought into place to get the housing market back up and running. There's lots of pros and cons, and I'm going to go through these. And it is a move to get people buying their own home and getting the mortgage markets moving. So 0% from 0 to 500. Now, predominantly or previously, if you were a home buyer, you would not have had to have paid stamp duty from £0 up to 125,000. And the way that worked is that from 125,000 to 250,000, you would have then paid 2%. From 250 to 925, it would have been 5%. From 925,000 to 1.5 million, it would have been 10%. And then 1.5 million plus would have been 12%. So that's historic. That's what would have happened. Now, as of the 8th of July, right up until the 31st of March, sorry, I've got to get that right. From the 8th of July, right up until the 31st of March 2021, stamp duty from 0 to 500,000 is 0%. Now, that's for home buyers. We've got to get this right. For property investors, and for those that have got a second home or looking for other investment stock, they will still continue to pay the 3% surcharge, as opposed to the 5%, which would have been the 2% that they paid previously, plus the 3% surcharge. So there is a saving, because let's face it, previously, they would have paid stamp duty from 125% onwards, plus the surcharge, and anything from 40,000 up to 125,000, they would have been paying the 3%. So if you're buying properties between 40,000 and 125,000, in reality, nothing has changed, because you're still going to have to pay the 3% surcharge. From £0 up to 40,000 or 39,999 is still stamp duty exempt. So let's go through that again. From 0 to 39,999 is 0% stamp duty. It falls under the threshold. From 40,000 up to 125,000, or now from from 40,000 up to 500,000 now is 3% surcharge. If you're a home buyer, it will be 0. So hopefully I've made that a little bit clearer. And what the worked on is that the average saving would have been around £4,500. So there is a big saving to be had, and I really understand the logic as to why he's done this. He wants to get people out of rented into more affordable home ownership. And home ownership's a big word, because that means that he wants to get people buying. As a result of people buying, that means that house developers are also going to start to develop. As a result of that, the market's going to start to move. Yeah. One thing I will also mention is that this is also good news for foreign buyers, because there's been, over the last few years, there's been lots of people from foreign countries that have been coming to the UK to buy property, as it's seen as a bit of a UK safe haven, shall we call it. And from April 2021, the Chancellor has said that they're going to place a 2% surcharge from April 21. So what we're going to see is, in actual fact, a sudden influx from buyers before this happens, because they're going to think, well, hang on, if I can buy now and I can save 2%, as of April 2021, I'm going to get hit with another 2%. It makes the property just that little bit more expensive, and it may make some people think twice. So, like I said, it's devised to accelerate and encourage people to start buying and helping the economy. Now, there are some issues with this. And the reason why I say there are some issues is that it's great that the Chancellor has said, you know what, I want to get the market moving. However, affordability is still a key consideration, because it's all great putting these incentives in place, but if they can't afford to purchase property, if they can't afford or if they can't pass the affordability measures that mortgage companies require as a result of COVID, as a result of all the redundancy, as a result of all the companies going bust, this is kind of irrelevant. It will help lots of people, but it'll also not help others, because it still won't put them in a position where they can afford to buy a property. Now, a lot of mortgage lenders, and these are mortgage lenders for home buyers, are still only offering up to 80% loan to purchase. So let's just use an example. If the property value is £100,000 and they're buying it for £100,000, lots of home buy mortgages are still only lending 80% of that, which means that the person buying still needs a 20% deposit. Now, prior to COVID, there were lots of lenders out there where they would have lent up to 95%, which means that the buyer would have only need 5 or 10%. So there were loads of products out there for 90%. There are quite a few products out there for 95%. Obviously, you've got the government help to buy scheme and all that kind of stuff. So there were lots of lenders out there that would have given 90 to 95. Now, lots of lenders has dropped down to 80% as a result of COVID, and just literally hedging their bets just to try and understand what the property market is doing, which means that now a purchaser is going to need 20%. Now, if the purchaser does not have a 20% deposit, the stamp duty announcement is kind of irrelevant, because they're thinking, well, hang on, I may have had 5 or 10%. Now I have to find an additional 10% from somewhere, which kind of means that I can't afford to move, which means that I'm going to stay rented for another year. And by that point, the stamp duty, and I'm not saying that it will, but the stamp duty break, shall we call it, or holiday, depending on what you want to call it, will have ended. Remember, it comes to an end on the 31st of March 2021. The other issue, which I don't think the Chancellor has probably taken into consideration, is the length of time that it takes for a transaction to actually complete. Now, remember, stamp duty is actually only payable upon completion. So it's not payable upon exchange. It's always payable on completion. And if the average transaction takes around, I'd like to say 8 weeks, but the realistic time frame is around 12 to 16 weeks, so 3 to 4 months. Now, if you're buying a property now, yes, the stamp duty concession, shall we call it, will help you. You will save money. However, if you're starting to buy a property in circa, let's say, the December 2020 or January 2021, and if you don't complete by the 31st of March 2021, that means that you're not going to get the benefit of the stamp duty concession. So that means that you may have banked, or you may have been working all your figures out on stamp duty being 0 or 3%, depending on whether you're a home buyer or whether you're a property investor. But then when it comes to completion time and your solicitor then sends you a statement saying, guys, okay, it's now, let's say the 10th of April 2021, the stamp duty concession that the Chancellor gave you is no longer applicable. Therefore, you're now going to have to find the additional stamp duty threshold. And let's just imagine that someone's buying a property of circa between £250,000 to £925,000. That's approximately a 5% stamp duty cost that they're now going to have to find. So these are things that we've got to take into consideration. There's lots of benefits for it, and we understand the reasons why the benefits are. They want to push it. They want to start moving. We've been in a slow go. They're trying to save the country from falling into a recession. It is inevitable, unfortunately, but they are giving it a very good go, and you can't deny that. The property market has come out of lockdown absolutely on fire. Everyone predicted that we were going to go into an immediate slump. That hasn't happened. We've actually gone into an immediate spike. But as with any peak, there has to come a trough. And that is inevitable. It's just a case of when. We are going through a mini peak right now. We are seeing some values increase. We are seeing lots of sustainable values. But we are going to come into a bit of a nosedive of property prices. And that will happen. I think Rishi is trying to prolong this as long as possible to get more people buying, to get more confidence into the market so that we can start pushing into that. And there's lots of other benefits that he's done when he announced some of the announcements on Wednesday the 8th. Little things like trying to get incentives for restaurants to offer a discount if they eat on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So he's trying to get people out again so that they can start pumping money back into the economy so it goes through the cycle. Now, I read some stats before I've done this podcast, and he goes that on average, the government collect approximately £12 billion on stamp duty every year. So that's their kind of annual takeaway, £12 billion. Now, as a result of them giving this 9-month stamp duty holiday break or concession, whatever you want to call it, they reckon it's going to cost them approximately £4 billion. So it's a massive cost to the government. So they really need to see this work. They need to see people buying. They need to see more people getting onto the ladder. And they need to start seeing more people get active and start getting the economy moving again. So it'd be great to hear your thoughts on this, because there's only so much we can talk about it. It's quite straightforward. It's all there in black and white. He wants to give people a chance of buying. He wants to give people more chance of offering more properties, whether that be landlords or homeowners, to get into some kind of accommodation. And I'd love your thoughts on it. So if you want to, feel free to send us an email, admin@arshilahi.com. And I'll try and answer as many questions as possible. So hopefully you've enjoyed the session. Hopefully that's given you something to think about. And if you are thinking about buying, now's the time. Property, look for the right property, negotiate on the price, use the stamp duty break to your advantage, use all the other potential strategies to your advantage. And now's the time to take advantage. I can't stress that enough. But if you've enjoyed the session, feel free to like and share it with friends and family and people of the same interest. More importantly, if you want to know a little bit about who I am or what I do, you can catch up with me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn. I've also got a free YouTube channel, which I've got hundreds of videos on there, which gives you more free content. So if you like that, search for Arsh Ilahi on YouTube. Now, finally, as I mentioned on every podcast, I'm the owner or the founder of the UK's first property investment platform, property investment marketplace platform called the Property Investor app. We showcase all kinds of deals, so rent-to-rent deals, below market value deals, lease option deals, development deals, service accommodation deals, you name it, every style of property, we've got it on there. We've got approximately 200 odd properties on the platform, and if you're looking for your next project or your next investment property, that's the place to find it. In order to find it, all you got to do is go to propertyinvestorapp.co.uk. So that's the website, propertyinvestorapp.co.uk. Or if you've got a smartphone, just go to your app store, whether it be the Android Google Play or iOS App Store, and type in Property Investor. It's completely free. All you got to do is register. It takes 2 minutes, and you'll see approximately 200 investment deals right in the palm of your hand. This week alone, we put up a portfolio of 6 properties on a lease option, and we had almost like 150 inquiries on it. So we've got a very, very active app, and it's doing great things in the marketplace. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Guys, on that note, I wish you all, as always, to be safe and well, and I'll see you all on the next episode. Take care. Bye-bye.
The large majority of people make a positive change if they take immediate action. So act now. Download the Property Investor app and join Arsh on his social media channels to excel your property journey.